Hi to all Gunners fans around the world. Hi to all football enthusiasts all around the world. You are most welcome to another edition of the Arsenal Alchemy. I have to apologize to you guys. I'm very sorry for bringing this post this late because I meant to do it earlier, but some of us have day jobs, so we have to handle our private businesses too sometimes. But obviously, the focus will be on today's game against Manchester City at the Emirates, which ended 1-1. It was a very, there's so much to talk about in this game. And this game gave us an insight into what Mikel Arteta as a coach, as a tactician, is really about, But before I go any further with this podcast, I would like you to please do like and subscribe to this podcast to support the platform, to support us so we can serve you better. So I'm going to start on this note and say that I have never really been one of the fans, or I've never been in the bandwagon of fans that criticize our coach, criticize Mikel Arteta. But today I'm going to tell you I have to criticize Mikel Arteta today because this was a very, very disappointing game. Though we drew the game, but if you had watched the game, it was for most part a very, very disappointing game. So the match started. It's the last fixture in the 5th round of the EPL this weekend, and we played a resurgent Manchester City. Their last 2 games have been very good results for them. Erling Haaland has been in form. He has been almost unplayable. And this is what got me really worried before this game. Then I got more worried when I saw the team sheets, when I saw the starting lineup. I'm like, why is Mikel Arteta doing this? What sort of lineup is this? Why are you starting Mikel Merino in the 10th position? Why are you even starting Trossard? Look, I love Merino, I love Leandro Trossard, but these are not guys. They were not suited for this game. This wasn't a game you bring in these guys trying to be defensive. In the case of Merino, I don't know what he was trying to achieve by starting Trossard on the left. Trossard doesn't have the speed. Yes, his technical ability is quite good. He's a good dribbler. He's a bit decent on the ball. But this was going to be a very physical game. Leandro Trossard is not physical. He's not physical. He's not a very good... he doesn't really hold up the ball very well. He's easily dispossessed of the ball most of the time, to me. And so I didn't understand why he started him. If you're not going to play Eberechi Eze in the 10 role, put him in the wings. I know in recent games he's kind of struggled on the wings. But don't forget the game against Nottingham Forest, he provided an assist. So the starting lineup got me very, very worried. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw the starting lineup, I was like, Arsenal is not going to win this game. Arsenal is not going to win this game. And, The problem I have is Mikel Merino. I don't understand that. The past 3 the past 3 games or so, he played the same formation against. He played Mikel Merino against Liverpool. We didn't create no chance through him because the guy is not a chance creator. He doesn't create chances. That's not his game. We played him in our Champions League game against Athletic Club. The same thing. And you still brought him here. You still brought him today to play the number 10 position. A position you know he struggled in the past few games. Why? Mikel Merino is not even supposed to be a starter. I don't care if he scores multiple goals for Spain. He is not supposed to be a starter for Arsenal. He is not good enough to be a starter. He's too slow. He's easily dispossessed. He was dispossessed a lot of times in the midfield. If we are not going to use him as a striker, if we're not going to use Mikel Merino as our number 9, then keep him on the bench. There is no space. There is no space for Mikel Merino in the midfield, as far as I'm concerned. I like Mikel Merino. He came good for us last season in the striking role. But, this season is a different ball game. We are pressured to perform in every single game. No matter the opponent, we are pressured to win. This game against Manchester City is no exception. There was so much pressure to win. Mikel Arteta, start your best 11. I understand Saka being on the bench because he's just coming back from a hamstring injury. That is fine. Noni Madueke gave a good account of himself. I have no problem with that. But the number 10 position, where you need a creator, where you need an imaginative person, where you need someone very technical, you put in Mikel Merino there to play against Rodri. No, that was disappointing. That was disappointing. Also disappointing is the Trossard being in the left side of the attack. But I couldn't. It was almost like Mikel Arteta sold this match. I mean, these are schoolboy errors. You've been with this team going on 7 years. You've been in this team going on 7 years. Why do you need to of all games to experiment with? You choose this crucial game to experiment? You have an Eze on the bench. The reason why we bought Eze was to deputize for Martin Odegaard. Odegaard is injured now. The natural successor would have just been Eze. There is no story about that. There is no complication about that. It was a shocking decision, and we saw it in the game, especially in the first half. We saw it in the game. We lacked nothing. The only thing we're just doing was, bombing the ball onto Noni Madueke. That was our only attacking threat. Noni. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about some issues. I think I have about 5 or 6 of them. And the first one, like I said earlier, the first issue that we learned about this game is Mikel Arteta. His game plan for big games leaves a sour taste in my mouth. It's a hard watch. It's almost like we play scared. Like, I was watching Thierry Henry the other day, and he said Arsenal has got to set up to win, not setting up not to lose. You have to set up, especially when you're playing at home. The defense is secure. Although for that first goal, the Haaland goal, it was, I'm still going to come to that. But we have, for most part, we have a very, very solid defense. Why don't you take the games to your opponents? Why? Why do you have to start your games being so cautious? When we're supposed to bump forward, we don't bump forward. We pass to Raya. Raya passes side to side. It was just a hard watch, especially in the first half. Like I said, the starting lineup was criminal. Mikel Arteta needed to go to jail for that starting lineup. That starting lineup was terrible. It was terrible. Just for the fact that we played Merino in our 10 when we have better players. Even if he had started Waneri in that 10 position, I wouldn't be this mad. The game started and Erling Haaland did what he does. Even though we keep him quiet for most of the games, he still scores against us. Erling Haaland has scored 5 goals against Arsenal since he came. He's been here for like 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years. He scored 5 goals against Arsenal. So much for keeping him quiet. We don't really keep him quiet. And the way we consider that the goal he scored, people have been blaming Calafiori, but I'm not going to blame Calafiori. I actually blame Saliba. Saliba should have tracked Haaland better. You knew Reinders was going to pass that ball to him. Track him. Tell, who was it with him? I think it was Gabriel. Tell Gabriel to go closer to Reinders. Then you move closer to Haaland. And I think it was just a very avoidable goal. It was disappointing. It was so easy for them to have scored it. And when they scored it, there was no sense of urgency from us. We didn't improve. We were still passing side to side. Our only game plan was to Noni Madueke. It was a hard watch. That was on Mikel Arteta. The second thing I'm going to talk about is Victor Gyökeres. Now, in the previous seasons, last seasons, 2 seasons ago, we've been crying for a striker, a proper number 9. We had Havertz. Havertz is not a complete number 9. Then we go on this summer and we acquired Victor Gyökeres. Now we acquired Victor Gyökeres, and Victor Gyökeres has just been playing like a lone striker. There's nobody close to him. There's nobody feeding him the ball. The guy, and he walks and he makes very good runs. But that being said, I think Victor Gyökeres, while I'm a big fan of his, I don't understand why he's very easily nullified in the big games. He is easily marked out in the big games. These are the things the coach is supposed to tackle, look into it, and find a solution. Find a way to play with this guy. Find a way to make this guy score goals. Find a way to make your players involve this guy. Victor Gyökeres had no chance today. He had no chance. Our number 9 against Manchester United, he had no chance. He had no shot at goal. Nothing. Against Liverpool, the same thing. Now against Manchester City, 3 big clubs, and this guy was just shut off. No impact. And you can see he's trying to make the right runs. I think he does good runs. We just don't see it. Our midfielders don't see it. They don't see these runs to just, send this ball to this guy. So that was so disappointing again, for your top striker not to have any shot whatsoever. We're not even talking about shot on target. He had no shot whatsoever in these 3 games. That should be worrying for the manager. But we do the same thing over and over again. The next thing I want to discuss is Eberechi Eze. You all can agree with me that when we signed Eberechi Eze, every Arsenal fan was excited about this signing. Everybody was, because we know what he brings to the team. We know he's an excellent player. He's very technical. He uses both feet. He is strong. His link-up play is great. He's intelligent. And we know his best position is the number 10 position. Like I said earlier on this post, Martin Odegaard is injured. Why is Mikel Merino starting in the 10? Eberechi Eze should have just been the natural successor to Odegaard. Place him in that 10. This is a guy that can shoot. He has a very, very shooting ability. Why are you still keeping him on the bench? If he's fit, why are you keeping him on the bench? Even if you don't start him, play him on the left. Even if you don't play him in the center, play him on the left. Keep Leandro Trossard in the bench. I've always told people, whenever Leandro Trossard starts, it's almost like he's useless. He is another impact sub. He's another player that comes in and makes an impact to the team. He is not a good starter. He's about 30 or 31. He's getting old. He doesn't run. He doesn't, he's a good goal scorer. But in a game like this, it's going to be tight. There was never going to be no chance for no Trossard goal. He should have played Eze. I felt this defeat was on the manager, and this point I made further strengthened my point. Eze should be a starter. I don't care. Even if Odegaard comes back, you should find a place for Eze. You should find a place for Eze. The next thing I want to talk about is my boy Gabriel Martinelli. So during this summer, a lot of fans were like, "Oh, you gotta sell him. He's not good enough for the Arsenal." And I told them, "Look, you can't sell a player like that." We heard in the news that Bayern Munich made him one of their top priorities to buy him, but the money they quoted wasn't up to what we rated him on, and so they went for Luis Diaz from Liverpool. But a player like this, if you know how to use him, I think the problem Martinelli has is with the coaching. Martinelli is a very fantastic player. We've seen it in our last two games, though he's been coming from the bench and he's rescued us. He came from the bench against Athletic Club, scored a wonderful goal. We saw what he brings. We saw the pace. He brings, and we saw that pace again today when he equalized that goal in the 92nd minute. From a fantastic, people talk about the beauty of that goal, but you have to look at what Eberechi Eze did. You have to look at where he played that ball from. A low block or no low block, if you have a creative 10, if you have a creative player, they're going to break it. You saw Eberechi Eze when he came on, when Saka came on. You saw how the game changed instantly. We also saw Pep Guardiola playing negative football, pumping the game up with defenders. This is the first time I will ever see Pep Guardiola adopt such tactics. I have never seen Pep Guardiola bring in defenders. Their best player today was Doku. At a point, he took out Doku, brought in, is it Gonzalez, the defender? He was bringing in defenders. That was how much he wanted to win this game. That was how much he wanted to prove a point. It seemed very personal to him. But thank God, Martinelli had other ideas and took his goal. That was a beautiful goal. That was a beautiful goal. Probably if Martinelli had even come earlier, people like Trossard, they stayed too long on the pitch. If Martinelli had come in the 65th minute, who knows? We probably could have won this game. His pace could have wore the Man City players out. If that lofted ball from Eze was in the first half, a Man City player would have cleared it. But you could see they were weary, they were tired. And they had to face Martinelli with his pace, his desire to win the ball, his determination to get to the ball. And his first touch was fantastic. And he lobbed the ball over Donnarumma. So this is some of the things I noticed about this game. And may I add that if we keep playing our games like this, being overly cautious, not being adventurous, being very predictable, I don't think we're going to win the league. Drawing to Manchester City is not the worst result ever. But this just feels like a chance to have closed up the gap on Liverpool. Now we're 5 points behind Liverpool. The fixtures have been really kind to them. All the games they won, except the one they won against us, have been games everybody expected them to win. The game they won against us, I don't think they were better than us. It was just one single moment of brilliance from the free kick of Szoboszlai, and ultimately we lost the game because we went into that game being negative, not believing in ourselves. I am not happy with the way the game went. I'm okay with a draw. Considering it came in the 92nd minute. And, with that being said, like I said, we're never going to win the league if we keep playing like this. Thought I'd do this video, talk to you guys, tell you guys how I feel. I'm not happy with this Arsenal team at the moment. I feel we're not playing to our potentials. I feel we play with fear. We play with fear a lot. And I will end the segment on this note. Until the next time, it's goodbye.